It is very important to understand the nature, scope, purpose, and consequences of desires that we harbor. Desires can be defined as abstract thoughts that are generated by different aspects of the destructible body or nature, prakriti, prana, that propel us to attain certain targets. We would be defining and dividing desires into 4 categories that correspond to the koshas or the pranic sheaths in our bodies. As we know, the koshas in our body are outermost annamaya sharir or the food body, followed by the pranamaya sharir or the pranic body, followed by the manomaya sharir or the mental body, followed by the jnanamaya vijnanamaya sharir or the wisdom body, followed by the innermost kernel of anandamaya or blissful body. So we have to know that the 4 categories of desires correspond to the bodies which are annamaya, manomaya, jnanamaya, and anandamaya. I have conveniently skipped pranmaya because, as we have discussed earlier, pranmaya is the glue that keeps the annamaya together with manomaya, the outermost food body with the third central mental body. So, in a way, you can think of pranmaya as gluing the gross body with the subtle body. That's why Kumbhak works to control your vat, to distill it as prana. That's why Kumbhak works to clean the slate of mind or the ida to bring it into the pure versions of chitta. But today, we will talk about the desires. So the first desire or the outermost layer desire, and we will try to correlate the koshas with the chakras and see how overcoming these desires is going to help us attain our final abode of nirvana or enlightenment. The first ladder or the rung, the first rung in the ladder is that of Muladhara or the Annamaya Sharir. Also, it includes the Swadhisthana or the sacral plexus. So the lower 2 chakras form what I say the pleasure desires. These are desires which we have to indulge in either to maintain the Panch Mahabhut Sharir, the 5-element body, or to enjoy, in case of Swadhisthana, to create and procreate. So the desire to have the basic elements such as food, water, shelter, which are appealing to the sensations of tongue or rasa and twacha or skin, touch, sparsh. Now, when you go one above the Muladhara, you are still in the zone of pleasure desires, and these are the desires that create and procreate. So more procreate than create because we're in the lower chakras. So things such as enjoyment over food, the foodies as we call them, or the people who want to experience different aromatic sensations, perfumes. In case of animals who are excited into the rut using the pheromones or the hormonal surges that they get from bodily secretions, which has to be sniffed, such as the sweat, such as the genital fluids, which are often sniffed before the animals will procreate. So that again, ghrana or the sensation of smell represents the muladhara element of dharti. So the smell of the earth, if you will, is another sensual trap, but mostly relying at the swadhisthana or the sacral plexus. So foodies, people who love big lavish houses or the comforts, if you will, the comfort of a warm blanket or steam sauna, or who love the perfumes, indulging in a variety of aromatic sensations, or even the flavor of the food and the smell of the food. All of these are triggered by the swadhisthana or the muladhara, as we discussed. That is the pleasure desires. And because there is constant bombardment of the senses with these objects of sensual gratification, the senses as the indriya, and the objects of sensual gratification as the indriyartheshu, there is a play of constant attach and detach. Because they can't remain attached for long, they have to detach. And then there will be repolarization of the neurons, if you will. And then there is another contact followed by axonal flow of the impulse to what we call depolarization. So when you're enjoying the moment of pleasure, that is neurotransmitter-wise depolarization of the neuron that the nerves are enjoying and exhausting. So there is a refractory period, or the period in which, despite the object of sensual gratification, the rasagulla, the beautiful cookie, the beautiful perfume aroma, or the beautiful girl standing in front of us, or the beautiful warm blanket that has made us sweat a lot, we would not be willing to have an embrace of, because we had a recent contact of the sense with the sensual object. This refractory period is the hallmark of Muladhara Swadhisthana driven pleasures, Muladhara Swadhisthana driven compulsive activities, which from repeated exposures are called addictions. So as you can see, whether it is smoking, alcohol, drugs, recreational activities such as gaming or gambling, all of them, people will need a break from these so-called pleasurable activities after they have indulged in it for a while. Reason being, senses cannot handle all the overload that the mind has created in the realm as desires. So senses are the most horrible, terrible, inept ways of dealing with the load of desires created in the manas. This is the hallmark of Muladhara Swadhisthana chakras, or the Annamaya Sharir driven desires, which we have labeled as the pleasure desires, which create addictions on repeated exposures and cravings when the object of sensual gratification is not there and we have passed beyond the refractory period. So there is another desire to create a contact, temporary, but at least create some axonal depolarization, dubbed as orgasm, pleasure, maza aa gaya. Preya tendencies, short-lived dopaminergic surge followed by the dip, because what goes up in the sky falls down in the crater. To neutralize the effect is the game of the prana. Come to the second kind of desires, which will be generated at the solar plexus of Manipura. These desires we will call ambitions. These desires, opposed to the tamasic tendencies of Muladhara and slightly tainted rajasic of Swadhisthana, all the ambition desires cropping from the Manipura are in the realm of rajas, the strong, fiery passion that wants to things done. But this fiery passion is also tolerant and understanding. Hence, the awareness is a little bit higher than in the zone of tamas, which is absolutely no awareness. You just have to have it. I need that bite of the cookie. I need that puff of the smoke. I need a shot of the cocaine. I need to snort heroin. So that kind of bizarre behavior, devoid of awareness, causing self-destruction, is what we call addiction, because we wanted to use a term to clearly show this is deplorable behavior leading to self-destruction. On the other hand, compared to the pleasure desires that were described, the ambition desires of the Manipura are more in the realm of constructive passion. They are in the realm of getting some long-term goals met. So even if you think, if you are dating a girl and you want her to be your wife and you want to live with her all the life, and you are going to withstand the whims, because there will be many, because of hormonal surges and whatnot, more in females than males, you are willing to go through the thick and thin to be with that person. So you see how the love has become somewhat selfless. The definition of selfless is what doesn't depend on contact of the indriya with the indriyartheshu, the guna with the guneshu, the senses with the object of sensual gratification, creating temporary surges of dopamine sprouts. So once you have a long-term goal that you want to attain, whether it be finding the right individual to marry, and hence you are okay with tolerating whatever happens in the journey, because the destination or the object of end point is more important than the minor jolts during the journey, or a professional goal. You want to be a highly successful doctor, engineer, lawyer, cricket player, whatever suits your fancies. So these desires are in the realm of the solar plexus of Manipura, which is basically the gut. So there is a gut feeling in there, and that is the lowest form of intuition that you can get at these lower three chakras, the gut feeling. Because once it goes to ajna, it's the cosmic intuition that takes over, and that doesn't betray you. However, the solar plexus Manipura generates these passionate feelings which are somewhat longer lived than the temporary 7-second surge orgasmic pleasures preya of Swadhisthana. They can be personal goals of building a house, building a career, building the right relationships, but they are more constructive in the end, both for the samsara and the individual who wants to live a grihast or a life between family members, spouses, and things of that nature. The highest level of political pursuits or pursuits by actors who want to be extremely famous and rich are also manifestations. Women and gold are also manifestations of Manipura. So you see how Manipura is almost at the edge of being patient enough to get its goals, almost at the edge of, it is at the Manomai Sharir, by the way. It is the purest form of desire, if you will, with all the negativity that is still there. However, it is much better to have passionate, rajasic, manipuric, manomai sharir desires. Mind the words. Passionate, rajasic, manipuric, manomai desires any day compared to the tamasic, indolent, mindless submission to the senses, the sensual, preya, dopaminergic pleasures of the annamay sharir in the realm of Swadhisthana and Muladhara. So, pleasure desires are the lowest ones. Once you win over them, you have to win over the next rung in the ladder of ambition desires at Manipura. Once you have overcome the pleasure desires and the ambition desires, you need to conquer the inner body, which are the realms of, in terms of chakra, Anhata, Vishuddha, and Ajna, which are in the realm of Gyanmay Sharir, the wisdom body. So here, the ambition of Manipura has morphed into a more calm, less rajasic or passionate, but more dharmic, more bestower of neutrality, more in the realm of understanding what is right and wrong without having any selfish angles to it. Always remember the word selfish. It's a very clear word. Anytime you want a contact of the senses with the objects of sensual gratification, you are selfish. Anytime you are short-sighted, causing more destruction to yourself than you think, you are selfish. So the realm of Anhata is the realm of compassion. The individual is extremely compassionate. So they understand the pain other individuals are getting. There's a lot of empathy, ability to mirror the same intensity of whatever emotions that other individual is feeling. So see, it's a feel, emotion center. It's amazing to be able to feel the pain that another person is feeling, because then you can identify with their situation appropriately. Also, in the Gyanmay Sharir are Vishuddha, which is the courage center. So once you feel something wrong has happened with that individual at the level of Anhata, the Vishuddha helps you restore the neutrality, restore the wrong that has been done to you by taking action. Hence, Vishuddha is the higher, distillate version of Manipura. Manipura also takes a lot of ambition and courage to do the things it wants to do. But here, the courage is more cosmic, external, and aimed at achieving the betterment of the society rather than betterment of self-ish. The third one, the chakra, is of the cosmic intuition, which is Ajna, as we talked about, which is the best form of feeling that you will ever get from the cosmos as intuition. Not the gut feeling of Manipura, which is again a sensation, but more related to what's going to happen to you, versus the Ajna not only knows what's going to happen to you, but also knows what's going to happen to every individual around, or any individual, society, subject that they want to gain access to. So Ajna is like a radio transmitter antenna. You can turn it on or off in the right siddha. It can be an impediment to enlightenment if you identify with your cosmic powers, your siddhis, as you feel, I am better than the rest. If there's a resurgence of ahamkara, all the intuitional powers of ajna will collapse and the individual will go back down the ladder, start back from Muladhara and up. And that's the case of all these failed gurus. They make the right steps, but somehow they're not able to handle all the powers that come with activation of these higher chakras, mostly at the Vishuddha and Ajna. So, my friends, compassion of Anhata, courage of Vishuddha, cosmic intuition of Ajna, together make up your Gyanmay Sharir. These are also the sharirs where you want to have desires for the betterment of the society, the family, the community, the nation, the earth as a whole. You are understanding that you are a product of the society, and destruction of the society to gain selfish ends are not going to be sustainable in the long term. So when we as a whole go green, go low carbon, decide to use less of oil as an energy source and go to the solar, wind, nuclear, renewables with less damage to Mother Earth, we understand that we want to sustain and not slaughter the system that built us. You don't damage the womb that created you. That understanding, long-term shreya, long-term gratification, the gratification is there, but that of the society. And this is a sattvic gratification that most of us should try to attain. So this is the realm of Gyanmay Sharir, an awareness about right versus wrong, restoring of dharma and Brahmanical neutrality. This is the Gyanmay Sharir, or the intellectual desire, the wisdom desire, the awareness desire, or the knowledge desire. Call what you may, but this is the Gyanmay Sharir desire, which is sattvic in nature. So once you have conquered the lowermost pleasure desires of Muladhara and Swadhisthana lying in the Annamay Sharir, triggered by the objects of sensual gratification contacting with the Indriya with the Indriya Teshu, you have transcended the ambition desires of the solar plexus of Manipura lying in the Manomay Sharir, or the so-called desire body. Once you have transcended the sattvic dharma restoring abilities of the chakras of compassion Anhata, courage Vishuddha, cosmic intuition Ajna, all three embodied in the Gyanmay Sharir to restore awareness, Brahmanical neutrality, dharma, there is nothing left to be done. You have transcended the lowest tamas, the middle rajas, and the upper sattva. Now you have become gunatit. Now you are ready for the 1,000 petals Sahasrara, lotus, to blossom and bloom. And that is why Sahasrara is not inside the body. It is said to be beyond the vertex crown, beyond the scalp. It is just lying outside you. It's part of your aura, but it's lying outside you, obviously dormant in all of us, because very few folks will ever get to that point where they are not identifying with their siddhis at the ajna and can let go of the powers that they have. They're willing to sacrifice the powers for the bliss restoration of the chitta, to submerge the individual consciousness into the cosmic consciousness of Shiva. That is Sahasrara. That is Anandamay Sharir, when you have gone Gunatit. I call it ethereal intentions of the Anandamay Sharir, or ethereal desires of the Anandamay Sharir. These individuals have nothing left to identify with. Forget the Indriya and the Indriyartheshu of the pleasures. Forget the ambition of getting some long-term goals in your family and community of the Manipura, of the Manomay Sharir. Forget the sattvic restoration of Brahmanic neutrality, the dharma, the right versus the wrong, by conquering the compassion in the Anhata, the courage in the Vishuddha, or the cosmic intuition in the Ajna. There is nothing left for me to do. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nan vaptaptayam vartevcha karmani. When Krishna tells Arjun, there is nothing left in me, there is nothing left for me to do in all these three worlds, but still, udasin matasino, still with zero feelings, I am going to attain what needs to be done. So when Krishna is propelling Arjun to fight, you have to understand that he is asking him to work in the third realm of desire, the intellectual, wisdom, awareness desire. यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृता धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. Hey Arjun, you need to restore the Brahmanical neutrality, because the powers of cruelty and damage to the saints has gone way out of whack. So we need to destroy the evil forces. You need to fight. Hence he propels him into Karma Yoga. When Arjun is trying to conveniently escape into doing Dhyan Yoga, God, why cannot I just do Dhyana? You know, Sannyasam Karmnam Krishnam Punaryogam Sanchasi Yachrem Etyorekam Tanme Bruhi Sanshritam. If you are the two paths of Karma Yoga and Sannyas Yoga, Karma Yoga in which you do the activity and do not expect the rewards, versus Sannyas Yoga, you don't do any activities. You choose Karma Yoga in Kali Yuga. And that is the reason you have heard me repeatedly say, I am against Sannyas in Kali Yuga. If you are born in Satyug and Treta Yuga, go ahead and do your Sannyas. Go ahead and do your Dhyana all day. Forget the Brahma Muhurta. Do the Dhyana 24 hours a day. But today we are born in Kali Yuga with a lot of tamas, a lot of passionate, lower desire, pleasure-seeking tendencies that are destroying the self, destroying body after body, increasing the load of Rinabandhan to cause future further more incarnations. Instead of lowering the load that you are carrying, think of Karma Bandhan as a load. The load that you are carrying needs to be gotten rid of. If there is a vehicle that is too heavy, it is not able to go very fast. But if the vehicle is very light, it will swiftly go on the roads. So think of when we are trapped in the Muladhara and Swadhisthana as driving a semi-truck, extremely loaded with all these pleasures, compulsive activities, addictions, compulsions, OCDs. All these things will happen when you are trapped in the repeated pleasures of contact of the senses with the sensual gratification, taking a break, and then reattaching. How predictable, patterned, pathetic behavior is in the Muladhara and Swadhisthana, in the realm of passion desires, the lowest desires, driving a semi-truck. Now, once you have become a little clever, you start going for the long-term goals. Let's try to set up a family. Let's learn to play guitar. Let's learn to play tennis. Let's learn skydiving. Let's do something great for the nation, become a politician or a prime minister like Narendra Modi. You have become a great individual who has looked beyond the self to serve the family or the community or even better, the nation. You have come to the realm of ambition desires. You're driving a passionate pickup truck. Come to the third one. You understood that whether semi-truck or a passionate pickup truck, it's still a truck. There's truckloads of karma bandhan because there are some desires, the lower desires I meant, the pleasure desires or the ambition desires that needed to be fueled. So you can run out of fuel. You can get exhausted in the end. The higher, further version of your car, here comes your electric vehicle, Tesla model, if you will, that is environmentally friendly, and it has the awareness that damaging the self is not going to serve the purpose of helping the Atman grow. Hence, you become aware, intellectually immersing yourself into the swadhyaya of reading the scriptures, attending the satsangs, doing the dhyana medication, contemplation to liquidate the vasana. You have started living in the third desire realm, the realm of intellectual desires, knowledge, dharma, brahmanical neutrality desires, living in the Gyanmay Sharir, encompassed by the Anhata, Vishuddha, and Ajna. Now, you realize no matter whether I drive a, 12-wheel semi-truck or a 4-wheel pickup truck or a light electric vehicle like Tesla, I still have to be stuck to the earth with the spinning of the wheels. I am still stuck in the wheels, even if they are light and rubbery and they help me move. I want to move faster. You get rid of the wheels of the karma, the gunas, the wheels of attachment. You have landed into a rocket spaceship. You have gotten yourself into a spacecraft, just like Virgin Galactica. You have gotten yourself free of the gunas. You have become gunatit. You are not affected by the pleasure-seeking tendencies or the ambition-seeking tendencies, and you have restored all the neutrality that needed to be restored in this world. You have done your service to the world. Now you are free of all karma bandhans. There is no need to reincarnate. Show me your desires, and I will show you your destination. When there are no desires, you go back home. When you visit a friend's house, and if you stay there long enough, you start believing that this is my house. You don't want to go back to your house. The friend is getting anxious. He's getting a little agitated. Suddenly, the friendship has turned into hostility, and there's resentment. That is the state of an individual who doesn't want to give up pleasures because there is nothing left to be squeezed. There's desensitization, and that's why higher and higher dosages are needed. A smoker becomes a chain smoker. A person who is a drinker occasional weekend becomes an alcoholic. A person who is taking part in certain activities out of interest has developed the compulsive addictions to be constantly engaging in these activities. And when they don't, they have cravings. So that's why you break the wheels, whether it's a semi-truck, a pickup truck, or an electric vehicle. You need no wheels. And that is why you have landed in the ethereal intentions, the sankalp of finding your home, finding your chitta, your Shiva, which is introverted, finding happiness inside and not by contacts of the senses with the sensual gratification in the artheshu in any modality. The ethereal intention is the ultimate abode of all desires. Sankalp, to get to Shiva, the Shiv Sankalp, if you will, that is where we have to head eventually. So my friends, the goal of life is to overcome the lower desires of Muladhara and Svadhisthana lying in the Anandmay Sharir by abnegating the Preya dopaminergic pleasures. Then try to conquer the ambition desires lying in the solar plexus of Manipura enveloped in the Manomay Sharir. Then you have to overcome the dharmic desires, or I should say Brahmanical neutrality restoring activities enveloped in knowledge, wisdom, and awareness, knowing the right versus the wrong. And just like Arjuna destroyed the Kauravas, you have to destroy the evils in the society and work for it in the realm of compassion from Anhata, the courage to do the right thing in Vishuddha, and then bestowed with the cosmic intuition, you continue working in that realm. And once you have conquered all these chakras, all these sheaths, all these lowered carnal desires, you are only left to book yourself. You are going to be going to the highest lokas and the realms where there is no desire to reincarnate, except when you want to come back as an avatar or avdhut to do good in the society. That is the realm of all the Gandharvas, the Avtaras, the Avdhuts, if you will, because they are the higher versions that are just here to help the mortal beings who are still stuck in the Karma Bandhan. You have landed yourself in the cosmic spacecraft that is going to Shiva, to Chitta, Nirmal, Nirvikalp, Nishkalank. Jai Shri Ram.
धर्म संस्थापना